Hello, and welcome to the Reluctant EV Owner YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to look at restoring paint. Now, it's not the paint on the Tesla, because I've just got that. It's actually the paint on my Audi A7, which I've bought the Tesla to replace. Now, I'm not intending to sell the Audi A7 just yet. As I've mentioned before, I've got friends that are over from Australia for several months, so they're going to be borrowing that until they go back. But what I did want to do was to actually prepare it for sale, and part of that was doing something about some of the paint work. Now, I'd had cause to stay up on the northeast coast at the seaside, which is all very nice, very pleasant. Stayed in a nice apartment with views over Hartlepool Marina. Unfortunately, like any seaside, there are seagulls, and seagulls have a tendency to poop on cars. Now, I know, as most people do, that if you leave bird poo on the car for too long, it can eat through the paint layers and leave permanent damage. So I would normally, at home, get the poop off the paint as quickly as I can using some sort of a wet sponge or something. On my driveway, I can get there quite quickly, the tap's nearby. Now, at Hartlepool Marina, I'm staying in an apartment which is on the second floor, and the car is generally parked several meters, 10, 20, 30, probably 50 meters away from the main entrance. I've got to get something wet down 2 stories across to the car, and that seemed a bit of a palaver. So I decided, hey, there's these waterless cleaning products. Why don't I get one of those, and I can then keep that in the car, and whenever there's bird poop, I can spray some of that and wipe it off the cloth, and everything will be great. Nice in theory, but that's not quite how it worked. Now, I'm going to have a disclaimer here that I possibly didn't get the right product, and I possibly didn't even use the product properly. I kind of just shaked the bottle and sprayed it on and left it for a little bit and wiped it off with a cloth. But the problem was that it left a residual kind of layer on the paint, which became unsightly. So I had these patches of paint which just looked awful. And I thought, right, I need to do something about that before I sell it. The product I was using, the waterless wash, was Amarol, and it's a waterless wash and wax. I wouldn't recommend it. I've actually thrown the rest of the bottle away, and I won't ever use it again after the marks that it left on my car. But as I say, that might be more down to how I used it. I didn't use enough care. I don't know, but I'm not using it again. Now, I have previously tried to polish this out using various products from Turtle Wax, Meguiars and Poor Boys, and they haven't done the job. But I wasn't quite sure whether that was because I hadn't prepared it properly. I just kind of given it a quick wash, used these products, and it made no difference. So I thought, okay, let's do something a bit more scientific, and let's try some new products, but prepare the car first and see whether those preparation steps of deionizing it and doing the clay pad, whether that actually will help with the paint before I actually do any polishing correction. I'm quite keen to try the Halfords advanced products, especially as they're actually on sale at the moment. It might be the last day tomorrow, so and I also quite often use Meguiars. So I thought it'd be an interesting test as well to see whether the Meguiars Ultimate Compound, how that would compare with the Halfords Advanced finishing polish. See how they would compare, whether one would be better than the other. But first of all, I'm going to wash the car. I'm then going to do the iron remover, which is an Halfords Advanced product. I'm then going to do the Meguiars clay. Then I'll try the Ultimate Compound from Meguiars, and I'll compare that with the finishing polish. And if I have time, I'll do the ceramic quick detailer from Halfords Advanced. But to be honest, I'm only planning on doing the worst bit on the bonnet today, so I might leave the ceramic detailer until I've had a chance to do a bit more, because there are a few scratches and some chips, stone chips, that I want to remove as well. So probably best to do all of that before I do the ceramic quick detailer. Now, I had done the snow foam and sponge wash with some shampoo a couple of days ago, but the car's been stored for a couple of days and it's got some kind of gritty stuff on there. So I'm going to give it a quick wash again first before I start anything else. So I'm just going to give the bonnet a quick wash with the Halfords car wash and wax using a 2-bucket approach and just a standard microfiber cloth. So before I start, I park the car in a little bit of shade so that it's not going to get direct sun while I wash it and treat it. And after washing it, it looks a lot better, but the marks don't actually show when it's wet. The wet kind of covers it. So I dried it off, and there was no improvement just by giving it the wash. I didn't expect it to. So the next thing that I tried was the iron fallout remover, the Halfords Advanced product, and I sprayed this all over as instructed and left it for a few minutes. And the instructions said leave it till it goes purple, but it kind of didn't. And I think at this point I realised the car wasn't as much in shade as it should have been. So it did seem to dry a bit, which it says don't let it dry. But anyway, as a result, I put up an umbrella next to the car because the shade from the trees wasn't sufficient. Having rinsed off the iron remover, there wasn't actually any change, which I really didn't expect there to be honest. I moved on to the clay kit from Meguiars. I've had this a while, possibly a year or so. You might not get the same packaging, but it was in a box. It was a kit, and the box contained a quick detailer, a microfiber cloth, the clay blocks, and some instructions. So I read the instructions, followed the instructions, and as I was going through a bit at a time over the bonnet, I could see that there was dirt that was being accumulated in the clay, and I was kneading it, moving it around so that those bits of dirt weren't going back onto the paintwork. Overall, it was a little bit of a faff, but I kept spraying. The key was keep spraying the detailer so that there's friction. Oh no, sorry, there's no friction. The friction is reduced. The clay can move over without applying too much pressure. And I could definitely tell once I'd done it that there was less dirt. The bonnet was much more smooth to touch. So it had done a very good job at removing kind of aged dirt that was clinging to the surface. Now I felt that I'd actually prepared the paintwork, it was all nice and clean. It was time to use some of the product that I thought would actually get rid of the discoloration, the marks on the paint. So I'm going to try the Meguiars Ultimate Compound. This is new to me, I've never used this before, and I don't have a fancy polishing machine or anything like that. I wasn't going to get my drill out and use polishing machine drill bits. So I was going to do this by hand, just with a couple of microfiber cloths, one to apply it and one to wipe it off. So I followed the instructions, and to be honest, I was quite impressed with the result. You can see from the picture, there's still some marks there, but there was more marks previously. So the marks I'd actually put the compound onto and rubbed in. Not too hard, just gentle rub, and I'd only spent a couple of minutes and then wiped it off, but it had made a significant difference. The marks were not visible, and if I looked very, very closely, there were still some marks there, but it was a huge improvement in a very short period of time just by using my hand with the microfiber cloths. A very impressive result. I then tried the Halfords Advanced finishing polish on some of the other marked areas and doing exactly the same thing, microfiber cloth, putting it on, rubbing it in for a couple of minutes, not applying too much pressure, the same as I was for the Meguiars, and then wiping it off with another microfiber cloth. And the results of that one were less impressive. They had made a slight reduction, but it was still quite bad. It was certainly nowhere near as good a result as the Meguiars. Although, to be honest, the photograph that I took, you can't really see. It's not a great photo. So the Meguiars definitely worked really well. The Halfords Advanced, not so good. If I continued with the Halfords one over a few more applications, maybe it would improve, but the Meguiars, I really only had to do it once and it made a significant difference. So now that I'd actually found a product that I believed worked, I went to the back of the car because there was a mark on the rear wing, and I did the Meguiars, but without all of the preparation, without the iron remover and without the clay bar. I just gave the rear spoiler a quick wash using the Halfords wash and wax, dried it off, and then used the Meguiars Ultimate Compound with the microfiber cloths, wiping it on, rubbing it in for a minute or two with some light pressure, and then wiping it off with a clean microfiber cloth, and it did the job. It absolutely removed those marks from the rear spoiler. Very impressive. I've now found the right product, so I can go around all of the marks on the car where the waterless cleaner had left marks and get rid of them all using Meguiar's Ultimate Compound. Once I've done that, I can then do some additional treatment to get rid of some of the scratch marks and swirl marks. That I've got some compounds for that, and hopefully then the car will be looking a lot better and it will be ready to sell. So I've learned two things from this experience. One, don't use the Armour All waterless wash and wax. Please, if anybody does know a good waterless cleaner that's not going to leave marks and is easy to use to get bird poop off, please leave a comment on that. I would really love to have a good product that I can just leave in the car. And the second lesson is that the Meguiar's Ultimate Compound is a really good product for restoring paint, even if you don't have all of the tools. Just doing it by hand, it makes a huge improvement. Now, I'm not going to say that it's perfect, and I'm not a professional detailer. This is just as a hobbyist wanting to get quick results. Then, yeah, I recommend the Meguiar's Ultimate Compound. This is the Reluctant EV Owner. If you have liked this video, please press the like button, please subscribe, and please add some comments. I've now made several videos about Tesla and EVs in general, so if you get the chance, please take a look at some of my other videos. Until next time, thank you.